I've got to just take small. Why are you bringing Destiny up?
I'm bringing up the use of white as a slur. That's the person who was like most prominently one of the ones who was using that.
But I don't give a shit. I don't want to defend Destiny's positions. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say, right?
Oh, okay, sorry. So
Destiny is his overarching like shadow over Twitch politics, man. No matter what the conversation is about anything, his name needs to get invoked. It's like with the RGR stuff, right? Destiny wasn't involved in that at all, and his name was invoked constantly in that stuff. I don't know what it is, man. I feel like a lot of people don't want him to be like in the space and they hate him, but then they also make him like the super uber villain where no matter what, he's constantly there. They like place him at the center of Twitch politics no matter the conversation.
So the Lambda grind set, it's built differently, but you know, we what's cracking?
What's cracking? Yeah, exactly. What's up? What do you want to talk about exactly?
Well, I just think it's a slow week, so I figured you and me could start like a blood feud drama arc, and then that'll create content for everyone else, right? Because then everyone else can watch it, and then they can comment on it, and then the cycle. We'll create our own human centipede here, so that'll be the way to go about it.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we both know we probably got some disagreements somewhere we can probably get to. But I did actually say a nice thing about you the other day.
Oh, nice.
I'll have you know.
You're bad at this.
Yeah, I just said. Yeah, I know. I'm not getting off to a good start. Don't worry. I'm sure we can get into it and start the blood sport soon. But I just said that I've always appreciated your support of smaller streamers, myself included. You know, and I'm sat here with 200 odd people.
The thing is about Lance is he's always been super polite behind closed doors. He's always been super nice to me, in public and in private. If he has a problem with you, he usually likes to resolve it behind closed doors. And he really does do his best to like help smaller lefty content creators. And he of course helped do the majority of the legwork on the fundraiser we did for the LGBTQ plus mental health organization. So yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. I mean, in all my interactions with him, I can't micromanage everyone's relationships.
And here you are again, giving me some content to boost my viewers further. So thank you for your support in the time that I've been on the platform. I do appreciate it. Okay?
That's very nice of you. I appreciate it as well. Okay, so I saw online, people first off are popping up in my chat saying ChudLogic apparently has gone after Hasan and TYT and saying that they're being racists or something like that. And he's on the wrong side of this argument, and it's a bad take, and you have to talk to him. And I was like, well, I have no idea about that because I haven't watched the video that you put on YouTube yet. But I guess I was going to ask you, what is your stance on the C-word discourse?
Okay. My stance is really
okay. Let me just say my stance before I just like cope and like take one of their stances, so I just look better. So my stance is right. I don't think saying saltine Americans, right? I don't think saying that, okay, is like the N-word. Anybody saying that is ridiculous. But I don't believe you need to believe it's as bad as the N-word to also think it's something that you shouldn't be calling people. You should not really be insulting people based off the color of their skin. Does that mean it's the worst thing ever? Not really. I mean, it doesn't have. It's like comparing a Bowie knife to like a thumbtack. Is a comparison I like to make. But when it comes to like Twitch TOS. Like, banning the word makes perfect sense if you really sit down and think about it. Not only is it probably just good practice generally to just ban all racially based insults since they're all bad, but let's also ask, let's say you're like, well, this racially based insult is not as bad, or it's okay, or it's whatever weird argumentation you want to make for it, right? Do you really, fundamentally, want Twitch to be deciding which racially based insults are okay and which racially based insults are not okay? Do you really want Twitch to sit there and have to make a list and check it twice of which racially based insults are allowed on their platform? Or leave it up to the discretion of random mods so you're going to have an inconsistent policy if somebody's getting banned for it or not? It's just not a good idea. It's not. The idea of giving Twitch that creative liberty on racially based insults is just terrible. Really not a good idea. And so I do believe that maybe there should have been more warnings given, but if you continue to use the word and like insulting people on stream, like, yeah, I mean, the ultimate result should be, just like with all other like policy violations, a ban. I mean, I wish maybe there was a clearer communication there, but when we're gonna be honest, when it comes to the Hasan case, even though I'm happy he's unbanned, I'm happy Fawn's unbanned, I'm happy everybody is unbanned, okay, except for Vaush. I also believe that Hasan kind of should have known better. I mean, he has 2 mods, right? Get banned for the usage of it as an insult. And his reaction to that is that, hey, I don't agree with this for this and that reason. It's, I don't agree with this, so I'm going to just start using it like crazy. I don't know exactly what he expected, you know? Like, if I saw one of my chatters get banned for, let's say they called a woman a bitch, and that's something that's banned in my community, but let's say it wasn't banned, and a bunch of my mods started calling a woman a bitch. Number one, it probably wouldn't be good to have mods doing that. But if they then got banned, even if I disagreed with it, the dumbest thing I could do is, well, no, let me just do the thing repeatedly on stream over and over again that got them banned. And then, like, surprise Pikachu face when I get banned.
Simple, okay? The C word thing, I think that, like, it's not, like, obviously as bad as the M word. I think, you know, anyone with half a brain can see that. Obviously it's not as severe, it doesn't have the same etymology and so on. I don't really have a problem with being called the C word, personally, and I don't know if there's, like, many people that would be super upset by being called the C word.
Don't you think it would have been better with just like a warning instead of a ban? A 7-day ban is laughable. A warning would have been fine. Just some type of like, hey, stop it. But I also don't think Hasan should be surprised if he sees people in his community get banned for it, then he starts doing it.
My issue isn't even really to do with the C word as such, although it's part of the conversation. What I take issue with is I feel like in discourse now,
Wait.
we've got...
Oh yeah, Hasan's back, and been told he's released a statement.
Hillbilly, hick, mayonnaise monkey, vanilla gorilla, and numerous other kinds of words, or honky, whitey, numerous other kinds of words, redneck.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
to the stage where people will try and justify, you know, shitty behavior in whatever way they can. And whilst like C-word jokes can be funny, the mayo things can be funny, like...
Gotcha. Didn't realize his mod had been banned prior to the incident. Well, that's what spawned this all off. Is that his mods called somebody the C word, right? And then Hasan got angry at that when they got banned. And so then he started calling people the word. And then that spiraled out of control.
Sure, we can have a bit of a laugh about that sort of thing. I do think that there's some people who kind of hide this kind of vitriolic or sort of negative perspectives about people based on certain characteristics, but they kind of hide it behind a comedy veneer, or they'll engage in sort of memes and stuff, but there is a more deep-rooted issue there. And my issue is twofold, really. One, I don't think that it's particularly productive to you know, foster this idea that, oh yeah, if someone is a certain color skin or whatever, we're justified to attack them, we're justified to go after them. And the other problem I've got as well with some of these insults is that when you start to like make these kinds of insults that are based on like skin tone, I think you run the risk of essentializing people down to those characteristics. And you know, as someone who's a Marxoid, I think that like essentializing people based on race, whatever that race is probably something we want to avoid and be against. So that's my basic position.
Do you think that it was justified in a ban?
Okay, so Fawn. Okay, I don't know if you know this detail, but you know Fawn.
Yeah, Fawn said it in a chat, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It was my chat that.
Oh,
that
I didn't know that part in it. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you're the origin story.
So,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, how did
you know,
one streamer get roasted for that? People, I saw everyone typing every possible variation of the C word out, all over Twitch for like days.
Do you think Twitch should also ban words like R word and B word? You mean like? So I think you're talking about like bitch and retard, and I mean like, I want to be opposed to it. I'm just saying that if we're going to like have like across the board racially based insults are banned, or we're gonna like, I don't like the idea of like figuring out which one shouldn't or should be banned, and I would not really necessarily be opposed to like retard being banned as a word, right? I don't, or like an insult, right? I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's not, I don't know if it's something I'm gonna go champion, but it's not something I would be opposed to. Same with like gender-based insults as well. But the problem with gender-based insults, with like bitch is something that I see thrown around. Like, while it gets mostly thrown at women, I've also seen it thrown at men, and a lot of people also have it pretty like deeply ingrained in their vocabulary. What I'm basically asking for is just consistency. That's what I want. And so if we ban like certain gender-based insults, then you have to ban all of them. Basically, if you ban certain racially based insults, then you basically have to ban all of them. That would be what I advocate for. I don't like the idea of them picking or choosing. Not only is it not good for like a corporate ethics standpoint, like Corman team brought up when we were talking to them, now go by SKU, but it's also just gonna make it confusing for creators.
Well, I think one piece of the puzzle that I don't really understand is the machine learning or algorithm that goes into like some of the auto bans that occur maybe in chat.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe there's something in that perhaps, but yeah. So that's a little detail there. Vaush, I'm very skeptical about Vaush's ban. I think that he, from what I could tell, he was just kind of saying like, oh, if I was gonna, I just own it and say it is a slur, and I'm gonna keep saying it. And it
He was
like
self-referential, right?
Yeah, it was like I think I don't know if he was acting as if someone with that perspective, or he was saying that himself. But in any case, I thought that was an unfair ban. In the case of Hasan, I think the issue that I've got is like he like had a number of kind of chances to kind of like rectify this path he was on, but he just seemed to like goad it on almost. Like he was kind of sat there saying it constantly, and presumably by this point he'd got some insight that it isn't something that Twitch kind of wanted him to be doing. It is fairly clear in the TOS that the way he said it, my reading of it anyway, is that it would be covered by the TOS. So yeah, I don't like kind of big tech bans and stuff, but I kind of feel like it was justified, to be honest, in terms of the TOS as it's written and Hasan's behavior.
Oh, okay. So you think they were just making a lesson of him?
Um,
or you think that
lesson,
it's something that'll apply to anyone?
Well, I don't think it's a lesson in terms of like Twitch are like, right, we got to make sure these people aren't saying the C word, I think it was more so a case of Hasan was acting in a very abrasive, obnoxious manner, and Twitch didn't like that. Maybe they I don't know for sure, I'm guessing, but I figure that maybe they thought, well, this is one of our biggest streamers, we can't have him like just flagrantly disregarding the rules like this. We've got to do something about it, right? So it's let's be real, 7 days ban is like a tap on the wrist, all things considered. And I think that his reaction past that was quite bad as well. And I think, there's been a bit of sleazy journalism that's occurred, like particularly with TYT, in terms of running cover for him. I take issue with that too, really. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that.
Okay, so I think a starting point would be that, like, you and me can obviously, like, okay, I'll just say this flat out. Yes, I agree in the principle that you should not be making fun of people for immutable characteristics. That's one of the reasons why when, I'm going to say it's the G slur now because I'm worried that one is also a bannable word. But during the height of that discourse, I was telling people, yes, it's a slur, but not all slurs are made equal, right? So my problem with all of this, from the ban to, I guess, like the sensitivity or the fragility that some people have to.
I'm thinking of like slurs in like an RPG level now, like the way we've been talking about them. Like there's slurs you get at the start of it, like I guess like honky would be like one you get at the start. It's like a tiny, like just like a dagger, right? And then you like go up to the end, and like certain slurs are like in like temples where you have to fight like mega bosses to get like control of its power. The way we talk about these slurs are very strange. It's like choose your class and it's the slurs you choose from. Exactly. C word is novice level. Exactly.
That term is that you and me can definitely agree that there is going to be a hierarchy of words, their meaning, both the connotation, the historical use, all that kind of stuff. And
okay,
like,
we say
as
the
adults,
context
right?
matters, right?
Yes. Well, okay. Well, let's just start before we get to the context matters part. Like, you can understand there's a difference in severity. For example, it's like I'm bi, right? So if someone was to say, Lance, you're a lovely bag of fruits or something, that's very different than saying like you're a cocksucking F slur, right? And so I can definitely see, but you can understand why the latter should be banned, right? And then the former is less severe. Both of them you could say are homophobic. Both of them are insults, right?
Yeah. Well, the issue I have with this kind of line of thing you're doing here is like, maybe there's some people that are like they're the same or they're just as bad as most people that I've heard talk about this have said that like for
the problem is, do we really expect Twitch to like figure out whether calling gay people like fruit basket or fruity, right, is fine, but calling them the F slur and like trying to like draw lines on like which slurs to call gay people are cool, which slurs to call gay people are not cool, like just ban them. Just ban them like outright. Like if you're gonna ban some of them, ban all of them so it's consistent. Right? At least when it comes to insults, right? When you're insulting people with those, right? It's a different thing to like you say it in like reference to yourself, or you say it in reference to like some like you're just quoting something or something. That's different, right? But if you have this thing, you're gonna have fucking Twitch scientists. 1 second, one second. Let me do this. I gotta do this thing, okay? 1 second. I gotta do this, okay? Give me a moment here, okay? Okay, so if we look at fruit basket as a slur level, I think it's only a level 2.7 slur. And I think since we have a barrier of 3.5 level slurs for the Twitch community, and we also take into effect that the person is a bisexual homo-romantic, I think this person should be allowed to say the slur. Don't you agree, Twitch staff? Yes, I think this person should say it. But this person, he said the F slur. Now, we must also say that he apologized right after, and he's also gay. But he said it in reference to somebody else who was trans, which means that they need to be banned because that's a 0.7 violation of code 927 of the slur code. Like, no, this is not a good idea, okay? We're not doing that. That's a terrible idea, okay? Just ban it outright, or we're gonna have these weird, we're either gonna have mods independently making verifications, which means it's gonna be super inconsistent, or Twitch is unironically gonna have to like release a like hierarchy of slurs, which we all know, number one, we're all gonna disagree with it when it comes out, because they're gonna fuck something up, and I don't really trust Twitch when it comes to like protecting like minority communities or like making the right choices when it comes to these decisions. So no, it's just not a good idea. You gotta ban them all outright. And it's on top of the fact that it's also probably not good to just insult people and call them, saltines.
For example, the N-word and the C-word. The N-word's way worse. Maybe there's some people that have been saying it's comparable, but from what I've seen, most people have said, yeah, the N-word is worse, hands down.
Oh, absolutely. But this is the problem with what we've done here. See, by banning both of them, we now say out loud the C-word and the N-word. Whereas before, I would have no problem saying the first, and I'll never say the second one, right? So they've made them this false equivalence now by doing it like this.
No, that's not true. Okay, like look, it is against rules to be like, okay, no, it's not a false equivalent to ban two things, right? Like, it's illegal to jaywalk, it's also illegal to murder. It doesn't mean murder and jaywalking is the same thing, right? Like, I don't understand. Like, wait. Okay, so it's also against Twitch TOS to, like, murder someone live on stream. It's also against Twitch TOS to show your cock and balls. I still think that murdering someone live on stream is probably worse than showing your cock and balls, okay? Why would it be an equivalence? You can have your own personal determination whether these words are like how bad this word or that word is. And by the way, having to call it the C word, I think is silly, right? I think it's silly. I think you should be able to say it. You just shouldn't be able to say it as an insult, right? Like Hasan was doing.
Okay, but do you think that other slurs that you would agree should be covered by the TOS are equivalent? Like, is the R word equivalent to the N word, for example?
It's not according to Twitch. Apparently, you can say the R word. I would personally, like, if you were to give me the list of words and slurs, right? That's one of the ones that, like, I'm surprised we can be as ableist as we want and then say R slurs all back and forth.
That's the thing, though, right? Is you hear that and you say that like the R word's allowed though, and you're like, that's fucking ridiculous. But that's the problem. It's when you have them pick and choose, you're gonna run into shit like this. Where, okay, like if they're gonna pick and choose, you know what? You're gonna have instances like the R slur, but it's gonna be like that, but just for ethnic groups and racial groups, right? And also, I don't want to get into this argumentation. This last argumentation, I think, is something that might get me in a little bit of trouble. So I'll leave that alone for a bit, okay? Unless I have to bring it out, unless I have to bring out the trap card, I'll leave it on the table, okay? I don't need another arc, okay?
I don't know if you can say the F slur. I'm not entirely sure if you can say that one.
Yeah, ableist slurs, I agree, are weird, but my presumption would be, like, for example, the idea is, you know, if you use the C word in like an aggressive or abrasive way to insult someone, same with the N word, that's what would trigger like a ban. I would presume, I'm not 100%, you know, I don't want to be the canary in the coal mine, as spicy as I like to be sometimes, but I would presume that if you went to like someone's stream and they had like some sort of mental or physical disability and you started calling them that, or you were a streamer and you brought up someone in a wheelchair and started saying that, I'm fairly certain that would probably result in a ban.
Right, but
and I think the context there is you're using it to target someone. I'm not, you know,
Yes,
I agree
yes, no,
that like, the R word broadly should probably be banned, right? But I'm just saying that like the context of using it to target and attack someone is the difference there, rather than just going, oh, this is R worded.
Yeah, I think that like we can be mature like we as a broader Twitch community or whatever you want to call it, right? We can be mature enough to say that we could actually state which words, like the N word, for example. I don't think there's any context that a white person can use it, right? Like there's no tactical N words, there's no nothing. So I can see why you could state a universal rule. And Twitch's rule on the N word actually is it allows, I think, white people to use it if it's like the context to lyrics or something like that. But that's already the way in which they applied these rules, right? They have different rules for different words. Otherwise, like, you know, we've got that slippery slope fallacy that'll go all the way to your name, right? Like your name itself is technically a slur. So I think like we can both agree, or maybe we don't agree on this, that the C word probably shouldn't be in that list of bannable offenses. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm curious about that.
No, I okay, when he says shouldn't be in that list of bannable offenses, is he just talking about generally? Like if you use it, period, you should be banned? Or does he mean like if you use it as an insult, right? Because if you use it as an insult, I do think it should be a ban. Like I've said before. What is it? We just listen to what.
I mean, I think for me, I mean, it depends what we're talking about, right? Because my perspective personally is, I find Twitch's TOS to be too restrictive on slurs, okay? And I know the memes are going to start, Chud just wants to say the N-word. That's not the case, right? The reality of it is that I think that really people shouldn't be punished if it's a targeted, aggressive, vitriolic use. I don't know the exact word, right? I think it's worded in the TOS somewhere. But if it's used to denigrate someone or something like that. Because, for example, have you seen this video, the Gangster Party Hotline?
No.
Okay, basically it's a funny video that uses the N-word. It's okay, it's a black person saying it, so, you know, no worries there. But it's a funny video, and it would be perfectly fine to watch on stream, but I can't because I'm worried that Twitch would hit me for that. Despite the fact that it's a comedy video and it's literally a black person saying it, right?
I think you're allowed to do that. I'm not trying to get you banned, but I think you're like I've watched videos before where black people say the N-word, and I've never got a ban for it.
Yeah, sure. Like, you know, that could be the case, but the way the TOS is structured.
I don't even play with it. I mean, I have a hard rule that nobody says it on my stream. I don't play with it. I know you're gonna probably more likely get away with it if a black person says it, but it's just something I don't want to play with.
It does make me a bit worried about that sort of thing, you know. So I would have it a bit less restrictive, and that's not to say that you start hurling racial slurs at people. Obviously, that's bad. But it's just have a bit more flexibility. Like I don't know, like, you know, what is it? If there's a nuclear bomb that's going to go off and you have to say the N-word to disarm it, obviously that's ridiculous. But you know, if you're quoting something, or there's like, I don't know, like, do you remember the Steve Shives video? And he said N-word hard R. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think that like as it was turned into a meme, but like sometimes, you know, the power of like getting the word across can be important to the point that you're making. You know. But you know, I would never.
But just to have you on the record, you think that the C word should be a bannable offense? Like even if it's like, do you have additional things to that? Like if it's a white person calling another white person as a term of endearment, can it be a form of reclamation? Is there a soft C word with a soft A? Like,
sure. So my perspective is this. Okay, I'll make it really clear. So I think that like you basically just have like a broad definition of like what a slur is, and I think basing it on protected character.
Dylan, you should get Mike Pence cutout's opinion. He says it's his word, nobody else's.
Characteristics is a good legal framework which to base that on. And then you can use context in applicable ways to ensure that people are getting treated correctly as best you can, based on the context in which they say it. So yeah, if I say to my chat, yo, what's up, my C words, yeah, like I think that would be, fine. But if I like was to go after someone and I was to use that to target or attack someone, in an attempt to make them, feel bad or whatever it is, yeah, I think that maybe like a slap on the wrist might be adequate for that. But then if someone goes and calls someone like the N-word, I think in that case, yeah, it's probably more appropriate to have a more severe punishment for something like that. I think human moderation has played a part in the internet for a long time, and a human touch to try and establish this stuff is probably the best way to deal with it. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be mistakes and errors, and people are over-punished and people are under-punished. But yeah, I think we should be able to, have like a degree of, ability to see the context and apply it whichever way you go from there. Does that make sense?
It does. Like, and at the end of the day, this is all hypothetical, right? Because neither of us are ever going to have any control in this arena. We're just kind of, everyone is giving out their opinion. Like, here's what I personally think is right and wrong. Here's what I personally think is right or wrong. But none of us actually are affecting the bottom line. We're all just trying to come to a consensus on what we think is or is not appropriate. And when it comes to a massive corporation like Twitch, which does have, they're not only beholden to their owners and their shareholders, but they're also beholden to their advertisers. So they do have to have this set of standards. You can't just have the Wild West or you end up with like DLive, right, which is just going to be filled with a bunch of Nick Fuentes or something like that. But to me, I don't think that there is an equivalent for, say, the N-word. First off, in language in relation to like race relations between either black or white people or any of the groups, right? And then to put that on the same footing as Twitch has done now with the C slur, something that like I don't think anyone ever thought about.
Oh, I disagree that it's put it on the same footing.
It hasn't.
Twitch have always had a what is it?
I mean, like we all know that there's certain things that if you do TOS, you'll get banned much longer than if you do other things on TOS, right? Like, let's be for real. Do you honestly think that if Hasan started going around just calling other black people, not other black, he's not black, I don't know why I said that, but if he just started calling people the N-word, right, hard R, that he would have only gotten a 7-day ban? No, it would have been much more severe, obviously, because not only is it just from like a policy standpoint has it been shown that that's usually the case that it's gonna, right, but also just from like a general PR standpoint, right? 30-day or perma for N-word? Yeah, probably. Well, that's the first thing. Second thing is, again, like I said earlier, there's different things you can do on stream that are going to get you banned longer than other things you do on stream. For example, let's say I play like, I don't know, like a copyrighted TV show on stream. Or I, do some like minor level like offense. Like I'm scrolling on Twitter, penis shows up, I keep scrolling, oh no, I get a week or something. That's totally different. And then if I'm just like, hey guys, I'm going to have full frontal gay sex on stream now, one of these things are going to get me banned permanently, okay? And it's because like they see the like the differences in like how much effort you put to not break the rules, and they see that like you have done something that's much more severe overall. And now of course it's not always consistent. Consistency is a huge like problem with Twitch, but I'm telling you generally how it would go. So I don't think just because two things are banned that they are saying these two things are exactly the same when it comes to severity. I don't even think they're even making a moral implication of any sort when it comes to which one's worse than the other.
The harm policy, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But I think my understanding, it's always said in there that these, and there are some gaps in it that are a bit weird, which I think could be plugged. But it does say in there something along the lines of, we enforce this equally, regardless of what characteristic it is. We enforce this policy equally, and I believe that even anti-white language has always been captured by automod. Now, it could be that there's some sort of auto moderation tool that's increased it recently or something like that. But I don't think this is like Twitch have turned around and thought, right, we're going to add the C word to this thing now. I think it's always been the case, and for whatever reason, it's being moderated more heavily. But yeah, I think that like I don't think they're on equal footing. I'm fairly certain that if you like said the N word on stream, you'd probably receive a bigger ban, presumably, than a
that's
7-day
interesting.
suspension.
Okay, that's interesting. That'd be the first argument in the opposite direction then that someone has given me, that like they're not, because to me, we now live in a state on Twitch where I have to say the C word and people in chat type out the C word, right? So it's become the C word. It's become like a slur that has, like, people are just as fearful to say as they would be like other slurs, right? And I guess it's relatively new.
I
because
don't
it's
think
not
that.
a
I
word
don't
that-
think.
How-
Wait, I'm sorry. I accidentally skipped back. Fuck. I don't remember where I was in the video. I don't think that's true. I think a streamer, I'd be much more willing to say the C word on stream than the N word. I would never probably say the N word on stream. Because I think that, like, if I got banned, I'd probably get like a 7-day ban like Hasan. If I said the N word, I think it's gonna be a lot more severe. I don't know.
And I guess it's relatively new because it's not a word in my vocabulary. Vocabulary. I was banned saying as of 2.
Where was I?
But then if someone goes and calls someone like the N word, I think in that case, yeah, it's probably more appropriate to have a more severe punishment for something like be mistake to see the context and apply it whichever way you go from there. Does that make sense?
It does. Like, and at the end of the day, this is all hypothetical, right? Because neither of us are ever going to have any control in this arena.
Yeah.
We're just kind of, everyone is giving out their opinion. Like, here's what
Right, we're going to add the C word to.
I was banned saying as of 2 weeks ago. So I have slipped up and said it, not in relation to people, just in relation to myself. Because again, like I said, I agree completely with the principle that you shouldn't use slurs to make fun of people that are based on race, that are based on gender, things like that. But I don't think that rule should be applied as a universality, as like just a broad brush that like.
Okay, so then the question would be, which slurs do we allow and which slurs do we not allow, and do you trust Twitch to make those determinations? I don't.
Any single slur is the moral equivalent of anything else. There should, and I know we'll never get.
No. No. I disagree with this idea that it's a moral equivalent, right? I don't think it's a moral equivalent. I think that Twitch have just put a broad policy in place so they can capture as many things as possible, admittedly with gaps, and they use context to decide what action to take for a specific individual based on the context of how they've said it, who they've said it to, etc. I don't think there's this moral equivalence that you're claiming there is.
I think you might be right there in the sense that, like, I agree with you. I think if you said the N word, that you would probably get a much more severe treatment than if you said the C word. And the thing is, there's no transparency in relation to this. But we do know. But we do know now that the C word is the C word. It's a banned word, and it's like there is still a handful of things. Like, again, like I don't say the R slur, but it's still there to be used. I could scream it 10 times right now, and Twitch wouldn't ban me for it, right? The F slur is apparently banned, but again, in this list of words, this one to me seemed like so far at the bottom of the list that I would consider like actionable. Like we need to really, or even or of concern, frankly, that this is something we need to police, because there's a really big problem on this platform of people calling each other the C word.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you need to take this with a big pinch of salt. Okay, I'm kind of a bit reluctant to say it, but I spoke to someone who maybe has got some insight. Like, I don't know the full insight into this, but I guess I'll just say this is like a guess. Okay, I'll say this is a guess. My guess is that
I'm guessing the R slur will be banned eventually. I mean, I don't know how long they're actually going to go out with it not being banned, because every time I hear like Destiny or someone say, "Oh, you're fucking retarded," or something like that, I'm sitting here like, "Oh shit," and I like clinch up before realizing like, "Oh wait, that isn't banned." Huh? That's weird. It is kind of weird that it isn't banned. It feels like a word from a bygone era.
The auto moderator tools or whatever machine learning Twitch has will kind of flex up moderation based on like the way certain terms are used. So like if like the N word, for example, it only goes up in its amount of usage. I mean, on Twitch, it's hard to imagine how much more the N word usage can go up in chat, but but yeah, I would presume that maybe it would flex up the moderation on that. And maybe it's just that people have been getting a bit loosey goosey with using this word, and Twitch have started to crack down on it. And maybe it's the fact that like Hasan had this reaction and talked about it a lot, and had this stream where he was like, "Oh, you're a stupid C word," whatever he said. That Twitch have decided to crack down on it further.
But the Vaush one is the one that actually troubles me more, because he was self-referential,
sure.
right? Wasn't he referring to himself as a C word? So that
well,
that would put it on a higher footing than the N word technically, because the N word is something that black people can reference themselves as long as it's the soft A on the platform, right? So
sure.
that
well,
and I'm not even saying this as a joke, but I just mean like that is a genuine thing that I thought of, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, my understanding of it is that, I mean, obviously, again, this is one thing I think we both agree on. Twitch is very bad with transparency. They won't tell you the specifics of when it happened and so on. My understanding from a clip that I saw was that it was something along the lines of Vaush saying, I'm paraphrasing, so I don't know the exact quote.
The word is still widely used in non-political streams, just dropped by Train or Miskiff channel sometimes. I forget how much people still use the word retard. It really is used a lot. I guess since I'm in a political space, we're a lot more active about like the type of language you use and like how it like offends other people or hurts other people. And like, I guess like for the vast majority of Twitch, it isn't something they think about. Like their language, just their casual language, is just what's developed over the years. And like in the online space, calling people retard is like something that's going on. It's like the F slur. Like people used to just call people the F slur like crazy, man. That one has slided with time. I feel like most people have kind of like caught the update, the update that, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. But I think that's also due to the fact that it's banned on Twitch TOS. And I feel like if you banned the R word, like it would basically probably go the way of the F slur when it comes not only to like how it's viewed when it's used generally in like online communities, but also like how it's enforced, right? I think not only would it like have the impact of, oh, I got a ban because I said the R word, it'd be like, oh damn, they said the R word, they probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right, but it's something along the lines of, well, I think,
and I'm not against saying words in principle. Like I don't have a problem with somebody saying the word retard, right? My problem is when you start insulting people with that word. That's my principle with basically every word. There's nothing wrong with saying a word. It's when you're trying to use that word to hurt other people, or that word's usage like ends up hurting other people. Like if I just started going around calling people retard, like, yeah, that's probably gonna hurt some people if they're like, have like disabilities of some sort.
I think that you can just say the C word is a slur and I'm going to keep using it. I thought it was like making a joke about someone acting like that. But the point is, I think I could see how like a moderator, like a human moderator, wherever it is, but Twitch might look at that and go, well, yeah, he's flagrantly like disregarding the rules as well, so he's got to get his cheeks clapped too. I don't know for sure, but that is my understanding of how it went down, rather than it just being self-referential.
Do you think that this is like, okay, so maybe take the Hasan thing out of the equation, but do you think now that this is an actionable item that Twitch should be prioritizing with like everything else that goes on this platform that happens, especially to like marginalized communities, that like right now?
If they ban the R slur, do you think it'd be as much controversy as this? No, I don't think there would be. Unironically, I feel like the word retard probably has like more like social stigma than like the C word. I would say. The only difference is that I think Twitch has up to this point had a pretty consistent policy on, or not consistent, but at least their TOS is somewhat pretty clear that like racially based insults bad. And so retard does not fall into that. That falls under the umbrella of ableism, which is like a separate type of, I guess, ism,
The one thing everyone is talking about is the C word discourse, right? And the one thing that everyone is afraid to say out is the C word discourse. But like, do you think that should remain? Like, should the C word remain as a banned word to even for self-referential purposes?
I mean, obviously not for self-referential purposes. No. I don't want to be the canary in the coal mine, but I'm certain that like, if not now, eventually you could reach a position where you could use it in a self-referential way and it would be totally fine. But this thing of like, it seems anyway like you're making out like Twitch are putting this great effort into like making sure the C word is outlawed. I think what's more likely is there's some sort of automatic moderation thing happening, and they've just clapped a couple of big streamers because they feel that they've been in flagrant like disregard of the rules, and they wanted to crack down on streamers that are kind of acting like that about it. I'm not sure if there's this great effort that's been taken to like outlaw this word as you say there is.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like some big conquest to like target to see what, like out of nowhere they just decided it's time to stand up for white rights, right? As a white man, I finally feel welcome in this community. It's probably something more aligned with what Chud's saying here, that they probably like were fine, like they saw that two mods were banned and there was some hubbub on Twitter about it. And so then maybe they looked into it, and then they saw what Hasan was doing, and then Hasan got clapped, and then Hasan got clapped, caused a lot of other people to talk about it, because other people were talking about it and saying it in large amounts. Some other people like Fawn and Vaush got clapped, and I think that's most likely, like, something like that most likely happened.
No, not great effort in the sense that like I think that there's a board or a team of people sitting in a room being like, you know, with all the slurs on the word and like, all right, the next one we're going after is like the C word or anything like that. More that just the end result of this and what has blown it into the public consciousness and had everyone outside of Twitch talking about it all the way to like the Washington Post making articles about this, right, is the end result of this action. So because of that, we've now, like I said, changed the way we speak about it. We don't even say the C word out loud. I know some people are playing like games or whatever where they talk about food and like, you know what I like with my soup is this and stuff like that, right? Trying to dance around it in the same way people dance around other slurs. But I think that is like, that is all a byproduct of what they've done. Like that decision they've made, both in the Hasan, Vaush, and then in Fawn's case in your chat, has resulted in this.
Do you think Hasan's behavior has had any impact on the kind of reaching the mainstream?
The mainstream, well, I mean, it was in a Washington Post article. I don't know how much higher it gets than that. If I walked up to my mother and talked to her about this, like, would she know? No.
No, I agree.
But
I agree it's in the mainstream. What I'm saying is, do you not think that like Hasan's attitude, response, etc., has also had an influence on how it's entered the mainstream, rather than it just being Twitch making whatever decision?
Oh, you mean making noise about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Like he went on a tour around all the fucking progressive news networks. Oh, I've been banned for saying the C word. You know, his TYT was like obviously, you know, once again laundering his reputation. You know, and so on. And yeah, I just think that plays a big part of this too.
Sure, that was one of the parts that like I agree with him. I think the ban is absurd. Like I think that is a very strange precedent to set. That is one of the words now that people can be banned for. Like I've said, I don't.
Why is it a strange precedent? It feels like it would be following the previous precedent of, hey, racially based insults bad. I feel like this is a pretty what is the precedent? What is the bad precedent that's being set, or the strange precedent that's being set here? I don't understand that.
I don't think you should call people like that word as an insult, but does that warrant being kicked off the platform? In both cases, like both him and Vaush, and again, like I could set up a stream where for 2 hours straight I just call people the arsler, and that's just it. Like it's just 2 hours of hate speech from me, you know.
Sure. I mean, I you know, like I say, I don't think Vosh's ban was particularly fair, but I think the issue with Hasan's ban is, you know, his attitude was fair. I don't know the right word. It was quite obnoxious about it. It was kind of like, you know, it was almost goading. It was like, you know, didn't one of his VODs get deleted where he was talking about it by Twitch? I don't have much insight into that, but apparently like one of his VODs was deleted and he was kicking off about that. And then he brought up a Reddit post and was kind of using it in an insulting way. And I think that is what led to them banning him, rather than him just kind of talking about it or something like that. I think he did kind of use it in an aggressive fashion towards a Reddit poster. Whilst it's not the same as like the N-word, it just seems...
Wait, somebody said, wait, how is Karen racist? I don't think Karen is racist. You can call black women Karen. But Karen, I guess you could say is something that's used primarily against women. There's also like the Ken variant. Talk about it like it's COVID. The Ken variant is when you're talking about men. So there's Karens and Kens. But I guess it is technically covered by slurs, but it's not racially based. That's, I guess, gender based, right?
seems like a silly thing to do when the attention's on it, you know, and the TOS is the TOS.
Yeah, totally. But then wouldn't that kind of mean that like they're more banning his attitude and actions than they are the word itself, even though the word itself is the reason that the other two people got banned?
I mean, well, I would argue that because.
Oh, sorry,
go on.
Well, no, I was just gonna say it felt to me now that it's now through those actions been established, or at least us on the other end, the streamers are kind of like, you know, afraid. We're all like, well, I don't want to chance it, so I'm not going to say those words either now.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I mean,
Someone just sent me a DM. Is the Anna Destiny thing on again? Again? Is it really? Jesus Christ! Why? Why is it on again? Yes, full blown now. Never stop, Dylan. Nope, no, nope. Don't touch it, Dylan. No. Ignore.
I mean, I think that what that would, because you know, I just think that the way Hasan acts.
Apparently, she said that DGG gives STDs. Oh no, why am I so curious? I shouldn't be curious.
Wait, let me
This.
see what she said.
Forget it. Steal it.
Anna, chill.
Yeah, you can't say that. You actually can't say that.
Oh, this was the same stream where Infrared said that I could possibly like bring about fascism in America. Fucking delusional. But yeah, that is wild, man.
Was quite obnoxious towards like the situation, and I think he could have dealt with it in a much more like sensitive way, say, or something like that. But you know, he made a big stink about it, and you know, received the kind of consequences of that. I think
Let me see if I can find
the
that
answer
quick.
is
I
to,
want to see if I can find that quick. I think it's on leftist I forget what the account is. It's Vaush's editor. You guys know the account for Vaush's editor, right? What's their name? Tempest? No, not this one. The other one. Like High Progressive or something. This is it. Yeah. This right here.
To fearmonger about fascism. I've studied the history of fascism. It's in America. If it happens, it's coming out of the DSA. 1,000%.
Fascism's coming out of the DSA, man. Dude, how could you unironically see like Trump's lawyers writing up like instructions on how to do a coup, right? Literally writing up instructions. You see his former national security advisor saying, yes, we should have a revolution like they had in Myanmar, where Myanmar is now controlled by a military junta, which overthrew a civilian government. And like, you know, the real threat of fascism in this country right now? The DSA.
Chapo, DSA. It's gonna come from
Chapo, DSA. I'm sorry, man, but I think that lefties unironically think they have more power than they do. Chapo is like is an internet podcast, okay? Not the bastion of some revolution. Hell, even DSA is like a local like socialist organization. It doesn't really like, it wins like a few elections here and there, but unironically, it doesn't have that much influence. Its influence has grown, but it does not have that much influence. Let's be for real.
From those people's disappointment. You know?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, I
like how Infrared looks over to Jackson for like approval of the bullshit he just said. Look at this.
You know?
without a doubt.
Please, am I right?
Without
Great. I
a
love
doubt,
it.
yeah. I mean, I would go so far as to say that it's found a new home in the squad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because think about it. What is fascism? It's the combination of imperialist aggression and war with some like fake form of socialism.
Yeah.
Right.
Glenn Greenwald, I don't agree with like everything he says, whatever, but he gets that 100% right when it
Yeah.
comes to the security state and the squad and like progressives, you know?
Yeah.
Their
It's gonna come out of
collaboration.
people like Destiny, Vaush, and Dylan Burns. I don't think so. I think Vaush and Dylan Burns possibly.
Vaush and Dylan Burns, possibly. Okay? Possibly. I bring fascism to America, okay, guys? So look out, okay? I need all my macho men in chat to help me bring about the revolution. Okay, you guys got to be ready for my heel turn, my really aggressive heel turn. Okay, it's gonna be pretty crazy. Okay, guys.
Like have more clarity from Twitch.
Mhm.
I mean, one thing I would say is, obviously I'm, only me, little old me, ChudLogic, but I've got like a 200, 250, 300 viewer stream now, and I used it quite regularly by mistake during the discourse, and
Oh yeah,
it
last
made it spicy
Tuesday
jokes.
I deleted 4 VODs because I was just I was going off about this. I was like, I can't believe this has happened. But to me, again, it's just more about this precedent that it sets. And I know I get what you're saying. I don't think they have a team of people who are deciding this, but I'm just saying the end result of this action kind of puts them, because I can tell you from the response from the right to the alt-right, it was almost universal. They were like, the leftoids are finally getting a taste of their own medicine. They've been screaming for like cancel culture and everything, and now they're finally getting payment for the racism towards white people and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this is just giving them exactly the kind of thing they want, right? It's no wonder they're tagging me in these posts and laughing at us and being like, yeah, you're next. It's only a matter of time before you slip up and start making fun of white people. And to be honest, what's baffling about all this is like, I have no desire to make fun.
It's really not that difficult though to like just not say the word, is it? Or at the very least, not insult people using that word. Not really that hard.
Of white people. That's like that's not the point of any of this. Like you
Unless you're Stardust.
said that you called yourself a Marxoid, right? Like I assume you have a view of the world that we live within, like a white supremacist, not white supremacists as in the like, the Aryan race is superior to other races, but we
Hey, look, ChudLogic's in my chat. Defender of the white man, ChudLogic. The white community thanks you, brother.
live in a white supremacist society, right?
Structural racism is a thing, sure.
Yeah, and so as a direct result of that, there's both like an oppressor and an oppressed class, right? So the idea of someone who is oppressed using language towards their oppressors, for example, and I'm not trying to say in any way that like white people as a universality are oppressing black people every day when they leave the house. We make a conscious decision, us white people, to oppress black people. But I'm just saying, in terms of the severity and the use of language, that's got to be taken into account as well. And I'm not saying it's acceptable or a good thing to make fun of white people for being white or anything like that. But what I am saying is that for Twitch to have done this action and made this stance, this now puts it on this platform where people who are on the right, too far right, now think that yes, this is a stance against anti-white racism.
Well, the problem is, right, is that how we're going to dictate policy, though? Are we going to dictate policy, like moderation policy, based upon what the right will or will not like? Do we just like pick the policy options that would just trigger the right the most, and that's how we moderate our platforms? I feel like we should be moderating our platforms based off of consistency and moderation, and what makes our community safest and like most enjoyable to be in.
Also, that it's anti-white racism that was being performed on by the left, for example.
I mean, okay. This narrative that it's people the poor oppressed masses rising up against their oppressors by calling them the C word. Let's call it what it is. It's a lot of white people calling other white people the C word. Let's call it what it is.
Most likely,
okay?
yes.
Like
yep.
I haven't.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
Like,
I agree with that.
And I think. I think that's my issue with this idea is like obviously if someone's got like a boot on their neck and they're going, FU C word, I'm not going to start lecturing them like, oh, you're not allowed to do that, you know? But it just seems to me like a lot of this discourse is a way for some of these kind of like white lefties on Twitter to kind of like, you know, be like, oh, hey, listen, it's okay if you call me the C word, don't worry about it, da da da. And it's like, fair enough if you want to engage in that and say that, like, you know, I don't care if
It really does feel a little bit like there's some people out there who's just like, don't worry, I know those disgusting whites. I'm one. Ew, I know, right? Trying to take away your C word card. Don't worry though, I don't care. You can call me at any time in the week. It does feel a little bit like that. Feels really weird.
if you call me the C word, right? But it just seems like a very performative expression of this that doesn't really even.
I want just a little bit more, then we're gonna switch out because I feel like this discourse is beaten a little bit to death. I was told this was interesting.
Yeah, like we're both concerned about.
But like with most things with ChudLogic, sleeper content. That's why his podcast is over. That's why he doesn't run a panel show anymore. Sleeper content.
Like systemic racism, right?
Yes.
Calling people the C word on Twitter doesn't move us any closer to fixing that, right? And I just think that unfortunately people have indulged. It's like Zoomers, Zoomers who haven't grown up in the Call of Duty lobby have found out a way they can maybe be a bit edgy, and they're going to town with it. You know, people are calling me the C word all the time. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't give a shit. You can call me that all day long. I literally don't care. You know, I was there in the Call of Duty lobbies, right? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I agree with you. I think it is probably predominantly, and this is just based on the stats of the people who both watch Twitch. It's probably predominantly white people calling it to white people. But by the way, that's not new. Like
what is with Space Dawn Inc? What is with the comments you're throwing my way today? Harder for your mom to not use the N-word. In that order, oddly enough. Really helping ally. Good fucking job, buddy, because that is so important in College Park. Good? You need like a hug? Good, buddy?
Meme of white as an insult like has been propagated like that was like one of Destiny's go-to insults like last year, right? Like, plus you're white. You know that was a huge thing, you know, like that's the whitest thing anyone's ever said.
Okay.
That's
Can I also say something? Everybody who's angry or getting angry because President Biden, I don't know if you guys saw this, but President Biden got a dog, right? And he's just like, hey, everybody, I got a dog. And everybody's getting fucking ass mad, man.
How are you?
Got a dog. Who cares? Got a cute dog. Let him have his fucking dog. Don't get angry because he got a... Wow, you got a dog instead of passing Medicare for all? Oh, I'm sure the dog is what stopped that. Fucking dumbass. People get so ass mad over stuff like this. Like, they believe, like, the president's job is to die. It is to work and then die. That is the president's job. If he ever, like, looks at his child with, like, the slightest, like, glint of affection, that is not in service of the cause, right? Fucking, like, thinking, like, once he's no longer president, he's got to get on his knees and, like, commit Subuku. Just all jealous because this dog loves Biden more than anybody in their lives loves them, unironically. Just random, just internet rage. You're gonna cancel his obedience and school loans? Like, just... Christ, you guys are so... You got a dog instead of ending racism. Exactly. Pets are a distraction. As a youth football coaching legend, I make my players choose between dropping final offensive pound, getting kicked off the team. Most chose the pound.
A curd is a curd.
Is that a parody account? Yeah, it is. Hey, Irish Baked Potato, thank you so much for the $5. Ice Cream Man bad? Ice Cream Man is bad. At least most people... Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. It seems most people are chill, but it's just a certain section of people who hate themselves on the internet. He's allowed to have a cute dog. Let him have a fucking dog. Jesus. Anyway, Watch a little bit more of this, then we'll move on.
This is the whitest
Why are you
statement
bringing,
someone's
why,
ever made.
okay, but okay, I've got to just take some. Why are you bringing Destiny up?
I'm bringing up the use of white as a slur. That's the person who was like most prominently one of the ones who was using that, in my opinion.
Okay.
This,
I just don't want to have, I just,
we
I
can
don't think
one.
you're really
We
trying to
can.
do it straight. I don't give a shit. I don't want to defend Destiny's positions. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say, right?
Oh, okay, sorry. So
Destiny is this overarching like shadow over Twitch politics, man. No matter what the conversation is about anything, his name needs to get invoked. It's like with the RGR stuff, right? Destiny wasn't involved in that at all, and his name was invoked constantly in that stuff. I don't know what it is, man. I feel like a lot of people don't want him to be like in the space and they hate him, but then they also make him like the super uber villain where no matter what, he's constantly there. They like place him at the center of Twitch politics no matter the conversation. Like if you don't want him to be there, just like don't talk about him. Just like, bring him into every conversation. It's different if he injects himself into something, like you can't help it then, right? But he's like this overarching like menace over everything. He's somehow gotten like people got him involved in the RGR thing, somehow dragging him into this conversation, even though he wasn't super relevant. I don't know, man.
Okay, take Destiny 100% out of the equation then. I'm just saying that was a very popular insult on Twitter across the board, on Twitch, blah blah blah. You fell off, plus you're white. You know that was a long running thing. So I don't think that's a new thing that white people are calling white people or calling out like things like whiteness, for example, right? Like, oh, this is the whitest thing someone's ever posted. Oh, this is the whitest meme.
I have never seen anything Destiny has ever done, like literally anything, but he is always being referenced on the timeline. And it's crazy because he should technically be banned off the timeline.
Oh my God, there's no like spice. This is the whitest food or whatever. None of that is new, right? What is new is, I guess, people are now in trouble for using this particular slur in regards to white people.
Yeah, sure. So I think that we could.
Soldier, would you want to come in here and defend the position that the DSA is going to bring fascism to America? I'd be willing to talk to you about it.
Broaden it out and talk about the broader, cultural stuff going.
I mean, it just seems like a completely ridiculous position, right? Oh, it's 2 a.m. in my country. I'm in bed. Okay.
On and my perspective on that is like generally like if something's funny, kind of go for it as long as no one is upset or personally offended, basically. So like with the white stuff, like there can be some funny memes that you can make about that. I think the broader issue, and maybe Twitch is trying to touch on this, but has honestly done a bad job in terms of how it's enforced it, particularly with like the Vaush ban, definitely with the form ban. It is that like I think that like what I don't like the idea of is people genuinely holding hate in their heart for someone just on the basis of like the color of their skin.
Now he's starting to sound like Jesse Lee Peterson. You have hate in your heart, son.
Even if it's like hating a white person, right? I think that's something that probably agrees is not productive and we should be against.
Yeah, of course.
And I guess my concern is like in some cases, it's like I don't know if you've ever done the edgelord stuff in the past, right? But
you love
in my
white
younger
people.
days, look, I'm going to hold my hands up. I was there in the Call of Duty lobbies, okay? So I grew up saying some spicy things. There was like a kind of time sometimes where like you'd be saying some spicy jokes and then someone would come along and it's like they're agreeing with you, but there's a vitriol there, there's an anger there, there's a hatred there, and it's like, all right, I mean, I'm not serious, like I'm just joking. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's particularly in lefty spaces, you do get that sometimes where it goes from being a light-hearted meme and a joke to serious like insults and stuff. Like as an example of this, the term snow like bug, snow bug, snow. Can I say it? I think I can say it. Snow roach. I think I can say it, right?
Like, I didn't, but okay, sure.
The nervousness creeps on the Lance's face. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up in a second.
But because, like, to me, when you get to the level where your insults are starting to include the kind of like equivocate, or not equivocation, but like you're implementing like the idea of someone's a bug, right? Like a cockroach. That to me is like starting to get to a line where it's like, look, I don't care if you call me a C word. I don't even care if you call me that. It's just a bit weird, champ, that you're invoking what has historically been used against, people in terms of making out someone's an insect. Like, that's kind of a bit weird, champ, and again, in context, maybe it's okay, but people can come at you with vitriol, or come at people with vitriol with that sort of thing. And yeah, I just think that gets to the stage where it's not funny anymore, and it's just like, did you see where I'm coming from?
Oh, totally. But I think that's going to be a matter of personal opinion and personal preference, right? Which insults do you find particularly egregious? Like, personally, for me,
Snow Roach is pretty egregious. I'm gonna be honest. I think calling anyone, like, I remember I was trying to think of a way to use the insult cockroach, like in a productive way the other day. I don't know. I don't even want to explain what I meant by that. My mind was screwy. And I was like, I was thinking of trying to call somebody a cockroach, and I couldn't think of a way to say it without it being terribly dehumanizing. And so, like, I just backed off of it. A cockroach is just you're insect, you're subhuman type of, like, you are less than human type of dehumanization language that is super, 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 super bad.
I've always hated the term white trash. Like, I've always found that one very gross, because I think it's associated also with poverty too, right? And people are, like, not only insulting you for your race, but...
Oh shit, my Chipotle's here. I'll let this keep playing, and then we'll change to the really interesting Charlemagne video.
They're insulting you for being, like, an impoverished white person. So I've always actually felt that one is probably one of the worst terms, or in the list of them. But going back to your original point, where you were like, yeah, like, whether or not the C word is allowed on Twitch is not going to change or end, like, systemic oppression or anything like that, right? That goes in both directions. Like, the idea of us now standing up for the plight of white people online on Twitch, which, I mean, I would argue, in terms of people who are just being vilified for immutable attributes, is probably not as bad as black people, as disabled people, as trans people. Like, those are people who are getting, like, hate raids, tons of death threats, all this kind of stuff. It became such a big problem that there was, like, actual protests about it. Those are the issues I think Twitch should be addressing first and foremost, before ever taking on the C word or the C word discourse.
Okay, well, let's talk about hate raids. What is it you think Twitch, like, has or hasn't done in regards to hate raids?
I think Twitch has done some good things. I did like how Twitch added the 2FA verification option for your chat. I think that is definitely handy. There are, and I'll be the first to admit this, elements of how these hate raids operate that I don't fully understand. For example, I got a hate raid last week, and it...
Okay, let's change.